Hello, my name is Michaela, and today we are going to be discussing the difference between there is and there are. We use there is and there are when we want to describe what exists or what does not exist. And we use it to describe places and things and settings. Now this is very important to learn, but we don't always know when do we use there is and when do we use there are. And so that's what I'm going to show you today. It's really quite simple. There is we use for singular objects, so when we're talking about one thing. We use there are when we're talking about more than one thing, so plural. So let's see a few examples. I could say, there is a chair. And I'm going to say there is because I'm talking about one single chair. But if there are many chairs, I'm going to say there are chairs. Now, there is can contract. That means we can take letters away so that the sounds flow better together. So instead of saying there is, I would say there's. So instead of saying there is a chair, I would say there's a chair. However, you can't contract there are. There is not a word, unfortunately. If you want to use there is or there are in the negative, all you have to do is add not after there is or there are. So you'll have there is not or there are not. However, you can also make contractions with these. You can say there isn't or there's not. You can also make the contraction there's not, but you cannot make the contraction there not, because again, there is not a word. If there are no chairs, I'd say there are no chairs, or there aren't any chairs. If you want to ask a question using there is or there are, it's really quite simple. Instead of saying there is, we would say, is there? And instead of saying there are, we would say, are there? So I could ask, is there a chair? Or, are there chairs? And those are perfectly valid questions. If you want to ask in the negative, it's a very similar construct. If you want to ask a question in the negative, you can say, isn't there a chair? Or, is there not a chair? So here what you're doing is you're taking the there and the is, you're switching them and then adding not, or you're making the contraction. Same thing for the plural. Are there not chairs? Or aren't there chairs? Well, that's all I have for you today. But if you want to learn more about there is and there are, using it in the negative, making it into a question, be sure to hop into a live class, and we'll see you soon.